Masechta Shabbos Parak Chof Aleph, Mishnah Aleph. Neitel Adam Es B'noi V'Evan B'Yodai. This parak is going to be dealing with Muktzah. Neitel Adam Es B'noi V'Evan B'Yodai. A person may hold a son who has a stone in his hand if the son yearns to be held by his father. Although the child is carrying a stone which is Muktzah, the father may pick him up because the child might otherwise become ill and the father is not holding the stone in his own hands. The father is not required to shake the stone out of the child's hand because that would make the child scream and cry. We're going to see in the next Mishnah that in certain situations it's mutter to move a muktzah object indirectly, which is called tiltul min atzad. However, this does not apply here, even though the father is only holding his son, and it's the son who's moving the stone. Moving muktzah indirectly is permitted only where one does so for the sake of the davar hamutter, not for the sake for the muktzah. For example, to push it into a safe place. In our case, the father also wants a muktzah object because it's his son's toy. Therefore, he would be also to move the stone even indirectly, if not for the fact that the son yearns to be held by his father and he refuses to let go of the stone. So, noitel eldom es b'noi v'evan b'yoda v'chalkolo v'evan b'soicha. A person may move a basket with a stone inside it if the stone is needed to fill a hole in the basket and is considered part of the basket. And the stone must have to have been firmly attached to the basket before Shabbos. We may move truma, which is tameh, together in the same basket with truma that's tahor or with chulin, because truma that's tameh may not be eaten is considered insignificant with respect to the other food which may be eaten. Mishnah is now going to discuss a case of meduma. Meduma is a mixture of truma and chulin, which we discussed at length in Masechta Trumas. It's a mixture of truma and chulin. Meduma may not be eaten unless the amount of chulin in it is at least 100 times more than the truma. In addition, a chelik that corresponds to the amount of truma in the mixture must be removed in order to make the mixture permitted. The Mishnah discusses removing this truma portion on Shabbos. You also are allowed to remove the truma portion of a mixture at which one part truma got mixed together with 100 parts chulin. Although removing truma from tevel on Shabbos is also, removing truma from meduma is allowed, because it's not necessary to physically separate the truma portion from the mixture. Even if one just mentally designates a particular section of the mixture as a chelik of truma, it's going to be fine. So you don't have to do more than that. Mishnah base. If you have a stone on top of a barrel and one needs to move the stone in order to take wine from the barrel, mata al tzidavi neifeles, he may tilt the barrel on its side so that the stone falls off, but may not lift the entire barrel to shake off the stone. Raising an object is a stronger form of movement than tilting it. If it's possible to tilt the barrel, one is forbidden to raise it. If the barrel is between other barrels and he's afraid that the stone will damage the other barrels when it falls off, he may lift the barrel, move it to a safe area, and then tilt it on its side so that the stone falls off. If money was left on a pillow and one needs to use the pillow, he may shake the pillow so that the money falls off the pillow. If there was filth on a pillow, one may wipe it off with a shmata, but one may not rinse it off with water, because the water will soak into the fabric and wash it, which is the malacha of washing melabein. If a pillow is made out of leather, you may pour water over the filth until it's removed, because the water doesn't soak into the leather. Pouring water onto leather is not considered washing because leather doesn't absorb water. Nevertheless, if the leather is soft, which is slightly absorbent, that's used to cover cushions, so then one may not rub it over there like that. Okay. Mishnah Gimel. Beishamei Aimer Magbin and Ashulchan Atamis Uklipin. We may lift bones and shells from the table by hand if they're fit for an animal to eat, because animal food is not muktzah. However, the bones and shells that, if animals do not eat them, are muktzah and may not be removed. Beis Hillel say, noitel es hatavla kula menara. You may lift the entire board, which is the tabletop itself, and shake us that the bones and shells full of, one may not lift them by hand. Since they did not become animal food until Shabbos, they are nailad, which is a form of muktzah. Mavirin milfnei shulchan. One may also remove these items from the table by hand. Perurin pachas mekazayas v'seir shel afunin and v'seir shel adoshim. Pieces of bread that are smaller than a kazayas. V'seir shel afunin is the pods of chickpeas, and seir shel adoshim the pods of lentils. Although they are unfit for humans to eat, they are not muktzah mipnei shel ma'achal behema because the animals eat them. Sveig, what's the halacha regarding a sponge to clean a table? If it has a leather handle, you may wipe the table with it. If it doesn't have a leather handle, you may not wipe the table with it, because water will certainly be squeezed out of it, which will be the malacha of malabein on the sponge. Chachamim say benkach or benkach nitel b'Shabbos ain't a mekabel tuma. Either way, whether it has a leather handle or not, it may be moved on Shabbos because it's a keli. Ve'ein mekabel tuma, but it's not able to become tama even though it's a keli. Tuma can be transmitted to people, food, and kalim. However, even items in the category of kalim cannot become tama unless they're made of wood, sackcloth, metal, or they are garments made of wool, linen, and the like. Since the sponge is not any of these things, it's not able to become tame. Even if it has a leather handle, sponge is not a utensil because it's the main object, which is the sponge that counts, which is the davar chashuv, not the secondary part, which is the handle. Ad kan, Perek Chaf Aleph.